Greetings to all champions of Kenya's cooperative movement. I am pleased to invite you to the second Cooperatives Movement Stakeholders Conference and Platform Cooperativism Consortium under the theme Digital Africa Rising. This event will be held from 4th to 8th November 2024 at Sarawak Sands in Mombasa County. Building on the energy and unity we experienced at last year's inaugural conference, Digital Africa Rising will focus on accelerating digital transformation across our sector. This is an opportunity for us to come together, learn, and drive innovations that empower our cooperatives for greater impact and resilience. Join us to explore digital solutions that break technology and cooperatives, preparing our sector to thrive in a digital future. Register now at our conference.cuk.ac.ke. Let us work together to shape the future of the cooperative movement in Kenya and beyond. I look forward to seeing you in Mombasa. Thank you.
Welcome to the Cooperative University of Kenya, a modern public university that helps you discover your potential and nurture it to the highest level. Our world-class faculty, state-of-the-art resources, and consistency in quality guarantee immense opportunities for all our graduates. We admit both self-sponsored and government-sponsored students for all our degree, diploma, and certificate programs, which are validated by both CUE and TVETA. We also offer courses through online, open, and distance learning. Apply today. Intakes in January, May, and September. For more information, visit our website www.cuk.ac.ke or call 0724 311 606. The Cooperative University of Kenya. Quality cooperative training.
My name is Professor Kamau Gamau, Vice Chancellor at the Cooperative University of Kenya. I wish to invite all our partners and stakeholders in the cooperative movement to the Joint Cooperative Conference 2024, which brings together the second Cooperative Movement Stakeholders Annual Conference and the Platform Cooperativism Consortium Conference. The participants and the delegates shall deliberate on key concerns of the cooperative sector in Kenya and beyond under the theme Digital Africa Rising. Delegates attending this conference will gain tremendous transformative insights into the latest trends and best practices in cooperative development. Our commitment as a university in this conference is to usher in a future where digital transformation will be the key ingredient in delivering social justice and driving infrastructure, education, healthcare, agriculture, and technology advancements in cooperatives. To register for the conference, visit our website, conference.cuk.ac.ke. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Saroba White Sands Beach Resort and Spa, Mombasa, from the 4th to 8th of November 2024.
Greetings to all champions of Kenya's cooperative movement. I am pleased to invite you to the second Cooperatives Movement Stakeholders Conference and Platform Cooperativism Consortium under the theme Digital Africa Rising. This event will be held from 4th to 8th November 2024 at Sarawak Sands in Mombasa County. Building on the energy and unity we experienced at last year's inaugural conference, Digital Africa Rising will focus on accelerating digital transformation across our sector. This is an opportunity for us to come together, learn, and drive innovations that empower our cooperatives for greater impact and resilience. Join us to explore digital solutions that break technology and cooperatives, preparing our sector to thrive in a digital future. Register now at our conference.cuk.ac.ke. Let us work together to shape the future of the cooperative movement in Kenya and beyond. I look forward to seeing you in Mombasa. Thank you.
Welcome to the Cooperative University of Kenya, a modern public university that helps you discover your potential and nurture it to the highest level. Our world-class faculty, state-of-the-art resources, and consistency in quality guarantee immense opportunities for all our graduates. We admit both self-sponsored and government-sponsored students for all our degree, diploma, and certificate programs, which are validated by both CUE and TVETA. We also offer courses through online, open, and distance learning. Apply today. Intakes in January, May, and September. For more information, visit our website www.cuk.ac.ke or call 0724 311 606. The Cooperative University of Kenya. Quality cooperative training.
Oh, yeah. It's very fun.
As we were coming out of COVID-19, we know that COVID-19 affected humanity worldwide. The cessation of transport, air transport. It affected the agricultural cooperatives, particularly in the horticultural sector. And what we know from our work is that women were disproportionately affected, particularly in the horticultural sector, where many of them lost work and therefore lost income. And with that, we had challenges in terms of access to health. So when the call for women rights came out, and we thought this is an opportunity for us to bring women into the space that they had already lost as a result of COVID-19. And therefore, WINRAC was born out of that realization. Our project, which is based in 3 counties, the county of Kiambu, in central Kenya, and Kajiado, and Taita Taveta, which provide us with a gradient of different socioeconomic status of, if you look at all those counties. And therefore, we felt like this would be a good opportunity for us to see how these different socioeconomic status with our interventions, how those may affect women positively in terms of access to healthcare, and in terms of access to paid work, in terms of access to other social amenities. We are looking at using cooperatives because cooperatives in the past have shown that they increase resilience. And we are in the project are working towards having more women in cooperatives, have women with a greater say, because we also see within the cooperatives, women are fewer compared to members, but also when you look at positions of leadership, there are even fewer women in positions of leadership.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and therefore,
a very good morning once again. Yes, thank you, media team. Welcome back to our second session of today. And as been announced earlier, we are going to be having the official opening program or session, a brief session, to receive our chief guest to officially open our conference, and thereafter we'll resume the normal programming as per our program. And therefore, I will request that you allow us to alter the program of the day briefly for purposes of allowing our chief guest, represented by the Principal Secretary, State Department for Cooperatives, Mr. Patrick Kilemi, who will be able to walk in anytime from now. And thereafter, we will proceed as per the program, and we're going to direct you accordingly. I'm hoping so far we've continued learning the better part of the morning. It was quite interesting and engaging. And we request, as we're going to have the breakaway rooms or the breakout rooms, we continue engaging and sharing the knowledge that is coming forward and across from the various presenters. It's quite a moment of learning, and we look forward to coming up with great solutions out of this conference. For them that have been with us from the beginning, we did mention that this is just not an ordinary conference, but it's a conference where we aspire to come up with policy recommendations and changes that are going to cause change to the cooperative movement, not only in Kenya, but across the globe. And therefore, we look forward to having more engaging sessions with yourselves once we get to the breakout rooms as per the program. Once we have the opening ceremony completed by our chief guest, our sessions will proceed, and we'll have a session that is going to be moderated by Dr. Francis Mogela, featuring Dr. Sifa, who is the Regional Director, ICA, and will be accompanied by Professor Gisheru and Dr. Moses Gwei of the Cooperative University of Kenya on Kenya's cooperative movement. So we'll get a brief understanding of the cooperative movement in Kenya, some lessons from them, some challenges from them, and who else can be able to do that much better than our Regional Director, Dr. Sifa, Professor Gisheru of the Cooperative University, and Dr. Moses Gwei of the Cooperative University. We'll interact with them, and thereafter, we'll now break away to out on our respective panel discussions that are going to be conducted at the community labs. We had the Makutano Community Lab, we are in Barasa 2 and Barasa 3. And we're going to remain as we were yesterday. When we get to the moments to break away, that's how we're going to go, no changes. We'll proceed on as we did yesterday. So at this moment, I'll hand over to the media team to hold on as we receive the chief guest who I'm told is just going to be coming in. And once they come in, we'll go straight on with the opening ceremony with the national anthem, East African Community Anthem, and we proceed on with the assignment of opening the ceremony. Thank you. We'll be waiting for a few minutes, and immediately we commence once we get our chief guest within the auditorium. Now, as we await the entry of the chief guests, I would like to just make a few announcements. When the respective panelists who are supposed to be doing the recording, you're kindly reminded, if you didn't manage to do your recording yesterday, the same exercise is still proceeding on concurrently with the activities here. So whenever time allows, kindly consult Madam Anne. Madam Anne is situated at the registration desk so that she can be able to direct you accordingly to the venue for recording your video clips. So this had already been communicated, and therefore the respective persons who are supposed to take the video recording for the PCC conference, please take note and attend to that. Secondly, I'm reminded that we have at the finance clearance, a number of you who left your receipts there. Please, whenever time allows again, you can pass by and collect your respective receipts. Then for today, our meal cans are going to be distributed within the respective halls where you're going to be. We noted yesterday that quite a number of us did misplace the meal cans, and therefore we thought it wise to keep them for you until at around lunch hour to ensure we do not misplace them. So that is going to be done. And thereafter, in case there is any of us who didn't collect their name tags, please, your name tags are ready for collection. You make sure. So ladies and gentlemen, here comes our chief guest. Let's appreciate, let's be upstanding as we welcome our chief guest, please. Yes, please, a round of applause as we welcome our chief guest. Welcome our chief guest. Welcome, karibu sana. And while upstanding, please, we'll have our two national anthems, the national anthem and the East African anthem, to officially begin our program.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. You may take your seats through a chief guest. Thank you. The Principal Secretary, State Department for Cooperatives, Mr. Patrick Kelemi, representing our chief guest today. The representative of the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Victor Ojegeko. The Commissioner for Cooperative Development, Mr. David Obonyo. The Chairman of the CUK Governing Council, Dr. Jeremy Bundi. Members of the CUK Governing Council, the Vice Chancellor of the Cooperative University of Kenya, Professor Kamau Ngamau, members of the University Management Board and the Senate of the Cooperative University of Kenya, Our guest and co-partner in this joint cooperative conference, the founding director of the Platinum Cooperative Consortium, PCC, Professor Trevor, the regional director and the CEO of ICA Africa, Dr. Sifa Chiyonge, the chief executive officer of the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya, Mr. Daniel Marube, the chief executive officer, SASRA, Mr. Peter Joguna, our distinguished guests, leaders of the national and the county governments, development organizations, and the cooperative movement. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yes, it is my great pleasure this morning to lead you to this session of the official opening of the second Cooperative Movement Stakeholders Annual Conference and the Platform Cooperativism Consortium Conference 2024. Our chief guest, as you're aware that this year we have the theme Digital Africa Rising, and when this was organized or set out to be organized, it's a one conference but with two conferences in it. It's a unique one in that last year when we had the first annual Cooperative Stakeholders Forum, we only had delegates drawn from across the country. However, this year, with a partnership and the collaboration that we have had with PCC, we are glad that this year's conference, we've managed to draw participants from across the globe with 33 nations represented. That is a great attendance and representation across the globe. And therefore, our chief guest, today we are delighted to host in this conference over 33 countries represented in this place. For one reason, just to discuss matters cooperatives, not only in Kenya, but across the globe. And therefore, we are delighted as a nation, not only as a university, but also as a nation, and privileged to host for the first time the PCC conference in Kenya and in Africa. So the country is really delighted and we're greatly honored to have our partners and the delegates from PCC join us during the second Cooperative Movement Stakeholders Annual Conference. Our chief guest also in our midst, we have been able to attract over 45 circles drawn across the country. It's a great participation and attendance, and it shows the goodwill that our cooperative movement has in ensuring that we change and we transform our cooperative movement, particularly in this era of digital transformation. And therefore, we greatly appreciate all the cooperative members present and the circles who have made this possible. Our chief guest also, in our midst, we have over 11, actually 12 now, 12 county governments that have been represented. And therefore, we are growing each day. This is a growth from last year's conference, and therefore we are delighted that our target and our dream to bring together all the 47 counties in this country together to discuss matters cooperatives, taking cognizance that cooperatives is a devolved function. And therefore, as a university, we are dedicated that to ensure that we have our 47 counties together so that we can be able to develop all the parts of this nation, because God has blessed us as a country in a unique and special way. And therefore, in cooperatives, we would like to move together with all our 47 counties. And therefore, we are really grateful and delighted to host our partners and delegates from the counties that are present here. In our present chief guest also, we have the national cooperative organizations. We have the NACHWIS with us, we have New KPCU, we have the Cooperative Bank, CIC, all their delegates around this hall. And therefore, we are so grateful that we host the national cooperative organizations as well within this Cooperative Movement Stakeholders Forum. For us, we look at partnering with all the players in the movement. In our midst also, our chief guest, we have our regulator, SASRA, who has been with us throughout and has been really supportive of our initiatives of this Cooperative Movement Stakeholders Forum from inception, and now they have remained to be very close partners with the university. Our chief guest, before I invite the next speaker who is going to give a few remarks, I will not do so without recognizing our sponsors who have been so kind to us and so generous that they came through to assist and support and make this a reality. It was a dream, and indeed, we see it has come a reality. It required quite a lot of resources to pull us together and have such a conference. And therefore, I recognize all our sponsors with the International Labour Organization, the Kenya National Police Duty Circle, FSD Kenya, MFI, Stima Circle, New Forties, CIC Group, we have Transnational Circle, New KPCU, and CLUSA, NCBA CLUSA. Then we have Azina Circle Society. Those are sponsors who have worked with us, and we greatly appreciate the work that you've done. Now, at this moment, due to time constraints, I know we would have loved to have all these people, all these sponsors say something, but you'll allow me, kindly, our sponsors, wherever you are, you be upstanding. All our conference sponsors, please, wherever you are, just be upstanding. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, you may be seated. Thank you so much. You will allow me, our sponsors, I know they were supposed to have a short remark, but for the interest of time, because of the other delegates and the sessions that you want to push, you bear with me not to invite you kindly, so that we can be able to move on to the next part of our program. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, it is my humble duty now to invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Kamau Ngamau, who is going to give us a brief remark, and thereafter invite our Chair of Council, Dr. Jeremy Bundi, to give his remark and take on the program to the next level. Please let's appreciate the Vice Chancellor as he comes forward.
Good morning. The Principal Secretary, State Department for Cooperatives, Mr. Patrick Kilemi, who is our chief guest, the representative of the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Victor Oyegoke, the Commissioner for Cooperative Development, Mr. David Obonyo, the Chair of the Cooperative University of Kenya Governing Council, Dr. Jeremy Bundi, members of the Cooperative University of Kenya Governing Council, our guest and co-partner in this joint cooperative conference, the founding director of the Platform Cooperativism Consortium, PCC, Professor Trevor Scholz, distinguished guests, leaders of the cooperative movement, ladies and gentlemen. Also national and county governments who are present here, and other members of the cooperative movement, the SACCOs, and all the other organizations, conference sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to stand before you once more during this official opening ceremony of this joint Cooperative Conference 2024. I'm especially elated to address a global representation of national and county governments, cooperatives, development partners, and institutions of higher learning that come together for the interest of building a better world through cooperatives. Ladies and gentlemen, when the journey to hosting of the annual stakeholders conference began early last year, it was meant to capacitate national and county government cooperative officials to undertake their duties with the necessary knowledge. This was in the spirit of supporting devolution, since cooperatives are a devolved function in Kenya. However, as we continue to deliberate further with the State Department for Cooperatives, specifically with the Principal Secretary and the Commissioner for Cooperative Development, both of whom are seated here this morning, it became clear that we need to diversify our thinking to cover the entire cooperative movement if meaningful impact was to be achieved. Therefore, the guidance by our two senior government officials is why we now have an annual conference that brings together all players in the cooperative space. On behalf of the university, I wish to say Asante Sana to you, our Principal Secretary, and your Commissioner for Cooperative Development. Ladies and gentlemen, last year the Stakeholders Conference was guided by the theme, Cooperative Business Model for Socio-Economic Transformation. The conference aimed at going to the basics of the cooperative model, reminding ourselves of what cooperatives are all about. We not only achieved the goal, but also came out with 34 resolutions, some of which ended up in the Cooperative Bill 2024, while others are undergoing implementation. Following extensive studies, discussions, and observations on the current and likely future global dynamics, we concluded that if cooperatives are to survive in the next 50 years and to play their role of socioeconomic transformation of people effectively, technology must be at the center of their operations. That is how this year's theme, Digital Africa Rising, came to be, as a PCC team and our university felt the need to champion adoption and use of technology. The changes come with emerging changes in the manner of operations, hence the emergence of platform co-ops and the firm occupation of worker co-ops in the cooperative space. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, since Monday this week, all our presentations and engagements are geared toward a stronger cooperative movement with the use of technology. I am happy with the progress that we have made so far, and we look forward to more interactions through to tomorrow when the conference comes to an end. We call upon the cooperative sector to be adaptive to change. If we resist change, we'll be swept aside from the sphere of relevance, leading to the death of cooperatives as we know it today. Lastly, Honorable PS, allow me to thank you for the support you granted us in the planning of this conference. You went out of your way to ensure that we mobilized adequate resources for the success of the conference. The sponsors have already been acknowledged by our moderator, Chris Kadoka, so allow me not to mention them again. We are truly grateful for your support, our sponsors, and the sponsorship that you have given us. We do not take it for granted at all. We have representatives, as was mentioned, from 12 county governments, 45 SACCOs, and 3 other types of cooperative or unions. We have representatives from organizations like the ILO, Global Communities, the DGRV, Democracy at Work Institute, ICA Africa, FSD Kenya, NCBA CLUSA. We also have representatives from our national cooperative organizations, including SASRA, the Cooperative Bank of Kenya, New KPCU, NACHU, ACOSCA, CIC Group, CAK, and the Kenya Society for Professional Cooperators. To all the 316 participants who are representing 33 countries in this conference, we say Asante Sana for joining us and actively participating in these deliberations in this conference. Karibuni Sana. Lastly, before I call the chair, I just wish to recognize the organizing committee for this conference through the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Cooperatives. You appointed a multi-stakeholder committee which joined with the university to be able to organize for this conference, and I will kindly request all the members of this organizing committee to be on their feet so that we can appreciate them. Kindly stand on your feet. Yeah, thank you so much. They are all over. Let's appreciate them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, you may have your seat. I now take this opportunity to invite the chair of the University Governing Council, Dr. Jeremy Bundi, to come and give his remarks, and thereafter invite the Commissioner for Cooperative Development. Thank you.
Good morning, cooperators again. First of all, Honorable Permanent Secretary, I would like to introduce very quickly the Governing Council of the Cooperative University Council. Please keep up standing. Honorable PS, I wanted to confirm to you that we are one of the best balanced councils in the Republic of Kenya. We are 4 honorable gentlemen and 4 honorable ladies. We are in short of 1 council member, and if you are able to liaise with the PS Minister of Education, you can give us another lady would in mind. Thank you very much. Get seated, the honorable council members. The Principal Secretary, State Department of Cooperatives, Mr. Patrick Kiremi. The representative of the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Victor Oyegoke. Members of CUK Governing Council present, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Kamau Gamau. Members of University Management Board and Senate of the Cooperative University of Kenya. Our chief, our guest and co-partner in this joint cooperative conference, the founding director of the Platform Cooperative Consortium, PCC, Professor Trevor Chos, the regional director of IC Africa, Lady Dr. Sifa Shioge, a very good friend of the Cooperative University of Kenya, the Chief Executive Officer, Cooperative Alliance of Kenya, Mr. Daniel Marube, a very old cooperator, the Chief Executive, SASLA, Mr. Peter Juguna, a very good regulator of the cooperatives, distinguished guests and leaders of the national county governments, development institutions, and the cooperative movement, all conference sponsors, and all dear delegates, good morning once again. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to perform a very significant role of officially welcoming Honorable Patrick Kiremi, the Principal Secretary, State Department of Cooperatives, who is here in its own capacity, not only as the Principal Secretary, but also as the representative of the Chief Guest, Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Cooperatives, and Micro and Small Medium Enterprises Development. On behalf of the Council Management and the Senate of the University, feel most welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cooperative University of Kenya is the only public university in Kenya directed to focus on cooperative development in the execution of its mandate of education, training, and research. Therefore, when CUK is organizing and hosting such a conference that brings together stakeholders in this cooperative sector to deliberate on their welfare and strengthen their capacity to serve their members better, it is fulfilling its mandate as per its governing instruments. In this regard, sir, I thank the ministry and other actors in the cooperative space, including national cooperative organizations, unions, and primary cooperatives for sponsoring the university in the fulfillment of its mandate of being the intellectual arm of the cooperative sector. Ladies and gentlemen, to play its role in the cooperative sector successfully, the university must always be ahead of the pack, as we would say, through research. I'm glad that the African continent is slowly embracing research as a critical component that informs decision-making. If you keenly observe the operations of multinationals, you realize that the research and development departments are the most important. They keep researching on the next big thing, rapidly changing needs of the customer and coming up with products that enable them to stay ahead of the competition. If they do not do this, they collapse sooner rather than later. In the cooperative space, especially in Kenya, that role belongs to the university, which must keep researching on global trends, customer needs and advising sector players through forums like this one on how to align and evolve. If it does not do this, it defaults in its mandate and falls in the sector. I am therefore delighted that the university and the PCC have managed to bring together a representation of the world in this conference to articulate issues, technology in cooperatives as the current way to replace our cooperative sector for the future. We have representatives from at least 22 countries, including Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, Thailand, China, United Kingdom, United States, Spain, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Ecuador, India, Italy, Uganda, Turkey, Colombia, Botswana, Argentina, and Greece. This is not a mean feat. As a university, we are very grateful and very proud of all of you. Lastly, in a special way, I thank Professor Trevor Shores and the PCC team coming together with the university to organize this conference and make it a success. I am aware it has been a challenging journey with all the daunting tasks of coordinating all activities with the people across the world. However, all is well that ends well. And so far, we can say all is well. Thank you, Professor Trevor, and your team. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my duty and honor to invite the Commissioner for Cooperatives Development to take over from here and eventually invite our chief guest. Commissioner of Cooperatives, I'd like to relay one message to the Minister from Nigeria. The head of the ICA, the High Chief Ayora, requested that when we were in motion for the conference, Professor Nyamongo, you remember, we should have conferences across Africa. We should have a region in the ECOWAS. We should have a region in the SADC. We have a region in the Maghreb. And then we have a center in East Africa. Those 4 conferences can really be able to operate the cooperatives in Africa. Welcome, Commissioner. Thank you for that digression, but it's important for you pass the same information to Ayora, the High Chief. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Cherem Bundi, the chair of the council, CUK. Our chief guest today, Honorable Peter Kiremi, who is here on his capacity as the principal secretary and also representing the cabinet secretary, Dr. Wycliffe Oparanya. Honorable Victor Oyegoke, who is representing the Minister for Agriculture and Food Security in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Professor Kamau Ngamau, the Vice Chancellor of CUK. Our friends and the leaders in the cooperative movement, without forgetting Madam Siva, Mr. Marube, the NACOS representatives here, the chairpersons, the cooperative leaders, and our SASRA regulator CEO, Patrick Nchuguna, the facilitators, sponsors, good morning. Good morning once again. Our chief guest, this is a very great moment once again for the organizers of CUK to organize this conference, which started last year, and here we are. This is a very important occasion, and I want to mention that it's a high time, especially for the Kenyan cooperators who are present, for us to make use of this conference, because where we are as a movement, it's a high time that now we need to embrace research and technology. In whatever we are doing, it's high time that we engage our cooperative university to subject some of our ideas we have, to see that they have been subjected to proper scientific methodologies of trying to ascertain how viable some of the products and services that we want to implement in order to avoid a situation of trial and error. Dr. Ngamau, Professor, I want to mention that if you allow me, I want to challenge you and your university. Now that we are at the point of soon we will be implementing our cooperative bill once enacted. And also we are undertaking some SACCO amendments. It's a high time for the university to undertake some study and understand how possible some of the good ideas we have in the bill, how are they likely to impact in the cooperative movement. I'm looking specifically on areas of self-regulation, because this movement has been supervised for a long time, for over 50 years by the government. And now is a high time that we want to leave the movement to be under self-regulation. We are proposing in the act the issues of federations and the unions that are supposed to undertake issues of standards, issues of training, and the like. What impact do you think are they likely to have? So that if there are any pitfalls, then we are able to avoid it before we implement, because a negative impact will have a very big negative effect to the movement. And I believe also for the leaders who are present, I know we are very innovative, especially in the financial sector. Before we come up with some of the products and services, can we please engage CUK to subject some of our ideas and do some kind of piloting, some survey before we implement them? Because that is the only way we can mitigate risks. Because CUK is our partner, and it is their key role to ensure that at least some of the issues we are undertaking in the movement, there are issues that can propel the movement to the next level. With those few remarks, I want, with your permission, Bana PS, you allow me to invite Victor from the Federal Republic of Nigeria to come and make his remarks before I invite you to give your speech. Welcome.
Well, I don't have my own speech. I'm here to represent my principal, the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security in Nigeria. So I will be delivering his message accordingly. But before then, I just want it to be a little bit informal, because it seems the all is just being too formal for me. I don't know. And we are cooperators. From Nigeria, where I come from, when we gather like this, it's time to have fun as well, even when we learn. So let's make it a little bit so that I will not be shaking myself. Well, there is always a slogan we start with in Nigeria. Perhaps maybe I should introduce that, because I expect each time cooperators in Nigeria, when you want to speak, you try to chant that slogan so that we can ginger everybody. You understand? When we say ginger, we want to encourage everyone. So let me just teach you that. When I say co-op, you answer cooperatives. When I say where, you say here, there, everywhere. Are we together? Co-op. Where? Here, there, everywhere. We all know that cooperative is everywhere, at every nook and corner. Am I lying? Cooperative is everywhere. A round of applause for yourself, please. A round of applause for yourselves. Well, before I had to wear the cap of the Honorable Minister, and myself, I'm Victor Oyegoke. I'm a cooperator. I am not a politician. I'm a technical person. And in fact, for the last 25 years, if there's anything I'm doing, it's all about seeing how cooperative will promote it very better, help develop it, and ensure the sustainability in Nigeria. And that's what I'm known for. If you Google my name, Victor Oyegoke, it's all about cooperatives. You're going to see with me. And I'm happy whenever I find myself on a global platform like this, because whether we like it or not, Kenya is hosting the world. You have more than 33 countries here now. So Kenya is open. You're hosting the world. Give a round of applause for yourself, please. I've been around since Monday. I've been able to meet with the CS and, a very gentleman. I was in his office. We interact on how it's part of why we are here. In fact, my minister, has always when I told him about Kenya, he said, no, we need to visit Kenya. In Africa, they are number one. So, Victor, if you are trying to get it right now in Nigeria, you have no choice. We have to visit Kenya. And I must tell you, he sent his sincere apology because he loves to be here. We've planned it, and that will be here. But, sometimes the higher powers, when the ministers call for a national assignment, you have to drop it for any other thing else. And that is what led to him not being here. So he sent his greetings. Before I read his comment, I have a gift because, like I said, the Kenyan people have been so good to me. I have a book. I produced about 2 books in cooperatives, and I think I come with one which titled Cooperative Business, the Basic Elements You Need to Know. And I would like to make a gift to the Kenya University Board. Please, Ibukun, please come with those books, please. The organizer of this event. The ministry, I think I dropped about 3 with the minister, with the cabinet secretary, 1 for the CS, 1 for the PS, and 1 for the CCD. I think that copy is with the CS. Perhaps you've said, yes, you've seen. Please bring everything. Then I think I should that of the Cooperative University of Kenya and Professor Trebo, Platform Cooperatives. Professor Trebo is a wonderful man to me. Come on. Please, the board, the chair of the council, CUK, please. Thank you. We have cameraman. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Took it from myself. The VC. Thank you. And my mother in cooperative, I call her my mother in cooperative. She's somebody I see as a role model for the past, I think, 20 years that I got to, I think 2005, that was when I got to know about her. And since then, I've been following her back to back. Everything about what she's written on the internet, I'll go download and read. That is Professor Esther Gishel. Somebody, yes, I would esteem. She has been one of my mentor and role model that I always look forward to. This is Mama Cooperative. Thank you very much, madam. And thank you for what you are doing for the cooperative movement all over the world. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, Professor, PCC, my prof, I always disturb him, he knows. Because the truth is, in Nigeria, platform cooperatives, I would say, I started, when I got to know about platform cooperatives, it was Prof that had to let me know more. And I think I was part of the past set of, one of the first set of the cooperative platform cooperatives now in 2020 during the COVID that begins to learn. And since then, I have not let it go. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, then I've been to one of the people that have really helped me out is the Sastra people, because really we are about trying to see how we make financial cooperatives, we get it right in Nigeria. Not like we have it here. We don't have the SACCOs. What we have is thrift and credit, thrift course. Thrift and credit, we got to call it savings and cooperative in Nigeria. We call it thrift and credit. And we've not been able to, get it organized the way you guys have done it in Kenya here. And it's part of what we have come to Kenya to learn from you and see how we can take it to the next level. And I must confess that when I get to Sastra, I was led into the hand of Mr. Joseph Osoro. And the man has been very, very grateful, patient with me. He has put me through a lot of some of the things that I really needed. And he said the CEO is here. Perhaps I will meet him here. And I think, of course, I want to call the CEO to give him one of these as well. The CEO, Sastra, is here. Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Looking forward for our partnership. Yes. And who will have this last one? Oh, say, Ogami, maybe Joseph Osoro. No. Please, I think you need to give this to him. The man is very wonderful. And I said that to you. Thank you very much. Yes, the book is online. You can get it on Amazon. And if not, you can always email me to get the soft copy. That is the only I could come with. You can't carry much of this. The baggage will be too much. But at least if you are interested, you can email me, and I can always send you a soft copy of it. So thank you very much. Let me now start to wear the cap of the Honorable Minister of State. And I can deliver his message. I have the message here, the address, so I can read it out. Yeah. The Permanent Secretary, State Department of Cooperative, Mr. Patrick Kilemi, representing the Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Wycliffe Oparaya. Please pardon me when I call the name. I will try as much as possible to try not to do blunder with the names, but please pardon me. The Commissioner for Cooperative Development, Mr. David Obonyo. The Chairman of the CUK Governing Council, Dr. Jeremy Bunde. Member of the CUK Council, Governing Council here present. The Vice Chancellor, CUK, Professor Kamal, okay, Ngumabi. Pardon me. Members of the University Management Board and Senate of CUK. The guests, please, the Permanent Secretary, please just let me stand on existing protocol. Please, let me stand on an existing protocol so I can just read straight from the Cabinet Secretaries, distinguished guests, esteemed diplomats, fellow cooperators, and let me just remove these glasses. Do it somehow. Platform cooperative advocates from all over the globe here present. I salute you all, and I bring you greetings from Nigeria, the giant of Africa. I am honored to be part of this pioneering conference in Africa, Digital Africa Rising. As we gather here in Mombasa, history is being made today, and I am humbled and remembered of the importance, immense potentials of digital transformation in driving Africa's economic growth and sustainable development. The theme of this conference resonates deeply with Nigeria's visions for agricultural development, which recognizes the critical role of digital technologies in enhancing productivity, improving market access, and promoting inclusive growth. As Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, I am committed to leveraging digital innovations to empower our farmers, improve food security, and create jobs for the youth. The cooperative movement has been a cornerstone of African economic development, and I firmly believe the platform cooperatives can unlock new opportunities for our communities by harnessing the power of digital platforms. We can scale up on cooperative enterprises, enhance their competitiveness, and foster greater economic integration across the continent. I commend the organizers of this conference for bringing together such a diverse range of stakeholders to share knowledge, experiences, and best practices. I look forward to engaging with you all and exploring ways to harness the transformative potential of digital technologies for Africa's cooperative sector, particularly for my country, Nigeria. As we serve Africa cooperative innovations and digitalizations, we need to draw inspirations from global successes, look into case studies from around the globe, especially those platform cooperatives present here today, who will share their experiences and success stories. We can learn from their experiences and adapt them to our context. In conclusion, as we work together towards a sustainable digital Africa rising, I urge all to embrace innovation, collaboration, and inclusive growth. Let us harness the power of cooperations to build a better future for all Africans that we all can be proud of and to bequeath to the upcoming generation. Thank you, and God bless you, Africa. Ubuntu, Asante Asana. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's now high time, and for our own health, maybe can we all arise as we invite our chief guest, Honorable Peter Kiremi, our able Principal Secretary. Tupige makofi kidogo. Welcome, 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 Bwana PS.
Thank you. We may take our seats. Thank you, Commissioner. The Chairman of the University Council, the members of the University Council, the VC, my good friend, Professor Kamau Gamau, the founding director of the Cooperatives Platform Cooperativism Consortium, Professor Trevor Scores. I hope I got it right. Thank you very much. Leaders of the national and county government, cooperative leaders from across the country, all invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. You know, Kenya is known to be to have the oldest known remains of human beings. Oldest. So we are known. We are the only, we have recorded known remains of human beings. So to our friends from the 33 countries who have come here, karibuni nyumbani, welcome home. My friends ask me, you spend a lot of time at the cooperative university. I told them, but it is the cooperative university. I realized they don't get it. I told them it is the only cooperative university in Kenya. They still didn't get it. I told them it is the best cooperative university in Africa. They still didn't get it. But what I thought we should do is that we should not wait for them to get it, because they will not get it. There is work to be done. The cooperative university has work to do. The cooperative university has work to do. It has to be a leader in research in cooperatives movement. We need to know where are some cooperatives in Kenya and Africa doing so well, and where others not doing so well. I think the university has that work to do. Why do we have cooperatives that have collapsed and others have continued to thrive? It is a university to tell us through research, because let those who collapse, let us not waste that opportunity to learn from them. Let the university be a leader in research on topical issues of capitalization and management to feed the government policy on cooperatives. Let the cooperative university lead in integration of the cooperative curriculum in our basic education system. Let us catch them young. Let us teach them the principles of cooperatives when they are 10 years old. By the time they're in high school, it is an examinable exam, so that by the time they come to the university, you have a clear pipeline of students who are coming to study cooperatives. I think that's more urgent work to be done than trying to make them understand. Let the university tell us, when do we have these leaders in the cooperative movement in this country, across the globe, who do so well? I always look at Mr. Kuria. I wonder, what's the passion in cooperatives? I look at Mr. Morioki of Cooperative Banks. I ask, this passion for these cooperatives, what is this? Is this cooperatives that drive some men to do such and achieve so much? The Cooperative University has work to do. Where is our annual cooperative journal, where the best research is being published? Every good doctor wants to publish his work, his research in known medical journals. Where is our cooperative journal? There's so much the university needs to do. There's so much to be done. And that is why we're saying we are here. Because there are few universities in this country who can organize such a conference. I'm proud of what the university has achieved. And thank you to the partnership it has with PCC and all the partners. Today, you are an envy of all the institutions we have in this country because everybody knows we are here. People know we are here. Thank you to the Cooperative University. I really want to thank the vision carriers, the people who said this country means a cooperative university. When I read the history, it was a small department in the State Department of Cooperatives. Today, a fully chartered university with thousands of students who are graduating all the way with PhDs in matters cooperatives. Our friends from the three countries again, thank you for coming. We are holding this conference, the backdrop of we had a very successful conference where we had delegates from over 50 countries just last month. We thought that conference would overshadow this conference, but look, our people are not tired of learning, our people are not tired of coming here. When I came yesterday, everybody was telling me about a gentleman who was talking here about driver cooperatives and the lessons they learned and the issues we discussed. The people came on Monday, Tuesday, and yesterday. I look forward. I asked the professor, let us have summary of the issues which have been discussed here, the lessons we have learned. Because it's not good enough to come here and discuss and then do nothing about it. We need to carry these lessons forward. These lessons need to advise, they need to drive what we do next year. So that when we come next year, when we are better off because of what we learned in this conference. Honorable delegates, I stand here to represent my Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Honorable FCPA, Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, who gives his sincere apologies because he could join us. You showed up in some other duties, was looking forward to this conference, but unfortunately, he is not able to join us. I am delighted to join you this morning for the second Cooperatives Movement Stakeholder Annual Conference and Platform Cooperativism Consortium Conference 2024, themed Digital Africa Rising. I'm happy to note that the stakeholder steering committee that was appointed by the ministry has done a commendable job in organizing this conference. And yours truly, I was the chair of that committee. Thank you for the many hours you put in putting this together. I think it has come out very nicely. Asanteni sana. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the brink of a new era, one characterized by swift digital change and blurring of borders and the ability of technology to overcome once insurmountable barriers. Technology is facilitating to combat. I think I missed a page. A second. Give me a second. Give me number 4. Number 4. Take me envelope. I need number 4. You see, I should have put it in an iPad. It's okay, Chris. I'll move on. Technology is facilitating to combat poverty, fight inequality, promote access to education, financial inclusion, promote agricultural productivity, battle climate change, and access to healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, currently, we view Africa in the prisms of our problems. However, Africa has outlined its vision for a wealthy, interconnected, and internationally competitive continent in its Agenda 2063 in order to realize its vision. Digital technology is essential in this vision for Africa for Agenda 2063. Africa is witnessing a boom in digital platforms. More so in our mobile payments. When you move around at this country, you see many boards written M-Pesa. We are leaders in this country in mobile payments. In internet farms, innovation apps, where our young people are at the forefront. In a rapidly expanding digital ecosystem, which are spawning game-changing solutions that are increasing the accessibility, transparency, and inclusivity of services to members of the public. Africa's digital potential is undeniable, since more than 400 million of its people use the internet, and more than 600 million people in Africa have access to mobile phones. This forum, therefore, is quite timely as we seek to move the cooperative sector to the next level, the digital level. With the immense contribution to growth in Kenya, cooperative movement is contributing around that 1% of our GDP. We believe the cooperatives are what it takes to contribute more to the economy, by them being the key enablers of financial inclusion, more so in the small, micro, small, and medium enterprises, which are a key pillar in our this administration's bottom-up economic transformation agenda better. It is also good to note that platform cooperatives are in the emerging phenomenon in the cooperative space. They are principally digital-based, where members hardly know each other, but are connected through digital apps. What this means is that the traditional cooperative model and the principles are being challenged by the evolving technology. And with this phenomenon becoming a reality, we have to ask ourselves, how do we maintain our cooperative identity going forward? That's the question really this conference needs to ask. How do we maintain our cooperative identity in the digital era? These are the emerging issues that we need to critically consider. There are other challenges, of course, that to come with technology, including cybersecurity, which we must address. As a country, we are addressing some of these issues, and we recognize that there are solutions which we need to prescribe to the challenges that will come with this digital transformation. In our cooperative bill, we are doing a new law, Cooperative Bill 2023. We foresee the role of technology in cooperatives. However, we also need a broader insight on the issues that are to be discussed in this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I want to encourage each of us to take the lead in this moment, the moment of the future. as we discuss the 7 themes of this conference, let us close the digital gap and make sure that all the cooperatives focus on the adoption of digital transformation. I really wish you a very fruitful engagement, deliberations, and outcomes that will change the momentum, not only in this country, not only in Africa, but across the world. Thank you very much, and God bless you. I now need to say the magical words. It is now my honor, on behalf of the Cabinet Minister, Honorable Wycliffe Ambassador Oparanya, to declare this second PCC officially opened. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let us once again appreciate our PS as he takes his seat, please. Thank you, PS and chief guest, for those kind ones and ones of council. As an institution, we are really, really grateful for the continued support that we continue to enjoy from your office. Indeed, it has been overwhelming, and we look forward to your guidance even as we proceed on with strengthening the cooperative movement in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, I would like to hand it over now to the moderator of the next session, Dr. Francis Mekwa, to proceed on with the program. Please let's appreciate Dr. Mekwa as he comes forward.
All right, thank you so much, Chris and PS, plus all the protocols observed. I'm told if you work in the government, one of the things you should know is saying all protocols observed to avoid a few issues with perhaps the names and the order of matters. So I'm guided that on this session, we're going to take about 1 hour, 45 minutes or thereabout. It will be a discussion that we're going to have on the cooperative movement in Kenya. I will request the protocol team that was around. I will need a little reorganization of the stage so that we're going to have a discussion and give a scope of the Kenya's cooperative movement. And I'm going to have about 3 speakers, not about 3 speakers, 3 speakers actually. And I will have a co-moderator, Mr. Matabi, wherever you are, kindly, you may come on stage so that we take the next session. I'm going to invite Dr. Sifa from ICA Africa. She's going to give us an introduction of the session. We're going to have contributions from Dr. Moses Gwei. Whatever he is, please start coming forward. And our very own Professor Esther Gishero will give us a quite a perspective on the cooperative movement in Kenya. Kindly let me have some about 5 seats at the front side, and then you may move this podium that we have here. Mr. Matabi, please come on stage. Dr. Sifa, kindly, you may join us. Professor Esther Gishero, Dr. Moses Gwei. Speak from there. You want to sit on? All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. All protocol observed. Ours is really a conversation that we'll be having, reflecting on the achievements made in Kenya, but also looking at them through the lenses of Africa and the world. So like we have heard, my names are Chioge Sifa. I'm the Regional Director of the International Cooperative Alliance Africa. In my former life, I was a lecturer at the African Nazarene University at the same time when Shiko was a student. So you can imagine the pleasure and honor that I had yesterday. I was very pleased to see that my baby girl was also flying high, but we also will make some comment on her presentation. So the topic that we have today is to look at the overview of cooperative movement in Kenya. And as you all know, the government and other international partners, including the ICA, but also the population of Kenya, did trust cooperatives as a vehicle for socioeconomic uplifting. And that is why even before we had the ICA definition of cooperatives or the coming of the definition of the modern cooperatives, just like any other African country, Kenya was organized in a cooperative way. In our African culture, we used to build the houses together, we used to farm together, we used to hunt together, we used even to fetch water together. If I may recall, in my mother's village, one of the things I used to be excited about going there is to when we know that one of our uncle will be putting up a house. And those houses, they used to make them 1 or 2 days and they're finished. So it was an affair of the whole village. The women will cook, the men will build, the children will be around, hanging around, and all of us will be happy. There will be wine, that is the African wine, and also the African beer. And that was the far back cooperative as we know them in Africa. But after the modern cooperative defined by the ICA, Kenya had its very first cooperative way back in 1906. I think that was in Lumbwa, that should be the present days Kericho County. This must be the second in Africa after the very first one was formed in South Africa when the Boers came. It was at the turn of the 18th century. That is when we had our very first modern cooperative on the continent. Kenya was second. However, both of them were more the colonial cooperatives. The very first indigenous cooperative that we had in Africa could be traced to Tanzania, Moshi. That should be the coffee cooperative in around 1946. Talking about the modern times now, we could also say that the cooperative movement, we have in fact our CEO, CAK here represented. In Kenya is a two-tier structure where we have the primary unions and then the apex. Prior to the CAK, we had what we called the Kenya National Federation of Cooperative, KNFCA, which was formed in 1964. That was again during the colonial era. But the modern, which was then replaced by the CAK, that is the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya. When it was registered, I think it was 22nd December 2009, and we have the CEO here. In terms of the legal framework, the primary legal framework in Kenya, we could say the Cooperative Societies Act of 2004, which was revised in 2005, and again revised in 2012. You have heard our own PS alluded to the fact that there is a bill, Cooperative Bill 2023, which is in the pipeline, and looking at how we can embrace the new changes in the environment. And here I would like also to maybe add that Honorable PS, we went ahead before you, and now we have the Africa Cooperative Model Law, and we'll urge your team to look at it. Quite a number of brains coming across Africa, but beyond as well. And it's good to just have a look, and maybe we could be able to pick one or two brains, and especially because the African government has already approved approve it. So it is now an African Union instrument. We are going ahead. We are in the process for it to be presented to the head of states as a, so that they can ascend it to as a law. But meanwhile, again, we went ahead and launched what we call the African Cooperative Center with the African Union. It was launched in September to fast track some of these initiatives. But over and above the legal instrument, the policy frameworks, at this center, we shall also be looking at the activities and the projects, continental projects. I will pick one of them being on the arena of or cross national trade to reinforce the African free trade area. We did carry a study together with the ILO way back, and unfortunately we used only SADC as a sub-region. The conclusion was that the cooperative were not trading among themselves in Africa, which somehow was predicted, because even among ourselves, we are not doing enough. And we lack, at least in that space, to increase the same. Talking about the numbers, cooperative members in Kenya, we can also see over the years that it has been progressing very well, and credit goes to the movements represented here by CAK, the CEO for the CAK, but also the government's efforts represented here by yourself, the PS, and the registrar. If I use the statistics from Cooperative Out of Poverty, a study which was carried out or sponsored by ILO again, that was in 2004, we are talking about 10,642 cooperatives in Kenya. But the latest, at least the statistics we have currently from the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, 2022, the cooperatives are standing at 26,948. I would like also to maybe pause here and say that as I see Africa, together with the COPAC is made up of UN agencies and ourselves. We have that formation to promote the cooperatives among the cooperative bodies, but also across the globe. So ICA, COPAC, Louvain-la-Neuve, that is Leuven University of Belgium, SERA and others, and also the KFC, that is the Korean cooperative movement. We initiated a study some 2 years back, trying to review, there were initially 44 countries, Kenya included, represented by Professor Wanyama from Moi University, but now we are standing at 19. We reviewed the history, the past, the progress for the last about 15 years, and also try to project the future trends in the cooperative movement. We have dubbed that particular project COPSTAR. We are almost there. We shall be launching, presenting the initial findings at our forthcoming conference in India, but we'll be launching the book here in Africa during the celebration of the International Cooperative here. I would like also to make a few comments about when we talk about cooperatives and how big or small they could be. yes, I know that the statistics we have so far in terms of financials, the most we get closer when we are doing the COP monitor is at least we are proud that the Cooperative Bank and CIC have been able to provide such information, but we lack also to get more information, especially from our big circles through the Cusco. I know Mwalimu and Mwalimu Sacco and the Police Sacco could be able to bring in those numbers. But what I have here, and this is statistics from CAK, that in terms of savings in Kenya, we stand at 6.3 billion USDs. And in terms of asset, is it asset or is am I? Yes, asset, we stand at 8.8 billion USDs. With employment starting at 660,000 directly employed by cooperatives, while indirectly we are talking about 3 million. I think that is quite a big force to reckon with. We are grateful that when we talk about Kenya or cooperative development in Africa, then the best example so far we get easily comes from Kenya, especially when we are talking about the financials. When I mean financials here, for me, I'm talking about the bank, the circles, and the insurance alike. Although when it comes to agriculture, unfortunately, the best examples when I have, and I have to talk apart from the isolated cases, like when you talk of Giduguri, myself have been there, those are isolated cases. The agricultural cooperative then in Kenya, we could see that they are still finding their feet. While working in Ethiopia, that was and that's still their greatest force, because we are able, at least at any given point in time, if we are told as a country, this is Ethiopia I'm talking about, how much sesame can you suppliers by at least doing a bit of IT, we could be easily say that yes, as a country we are able to supply this and even the quantities. Not very, and this is through cooperatives. Not very sure that I have those datas for Kenya, but I'm not sure if those datas are available for agriculture, let's say agricultural cooperatives in Kenya, but we hope that that should be the case for all the sectors, not only the financial ones. So now talking about that brings me to some of the key, I know my colleagues here will add quite a lot and maybe go deeper into what I'm saying. But looking at the opportunities which lie ahead and some of the challenges, I do believe that we need innovativeness and diversification in the cooperative movement in Kenya. So when I talk about innovativeness, what do I mean? I do first believe that we should not go for cannibalization in the cooperative movement where everybody is doing everything. My hope, and yes, I was invited to the stakeholder meeting during the COP Bill 2023, although I don't have the most current version. I'm happy that at least we are talking about the structures, the 4 levels, but within the sectors as well, I hope that there is some streamlining. So when we talk about COP banking, let it be cooperative banking for all of us, meaning individual members as cooperative members, cooperative organization as well. So that could be the strength that we have and the way of strengthening our cooperative bank. Talking about the cooperative bank as Africa, I'm happy to say that we currently launched the Tanzanian Cooperative Bank. I think the first General Assembly, that was in October, and we are happy, and we have worked on that project for many years, and now we are seeing that it is it is actually happening. Rwanda is in the pipeline as well. They had slowed down, but I think the momentum again is being regained, and they will be working closely with them again. We have also had some in Nigeria. So why am I bringing this all together? It's because we have always had our project on African Cooperative Bank. And now that we have the Cooperative Center at African Union, so those are some of the projects that we would like to see undertaken at that level. Talking about this diversification, yes, we are very happy and delighted to see that we are having this conversation on the platform cooperativism here in Africa, because at least it's making us or forcing us to think out of the box, quite used to the traditional sectors. I know the conversation has been on the producer cooperative or worker cooperative now, but we also do have the hybrid. In fact, it has already been happening. When I talk about hybrid, I'll give an example. When I was still working with the government in South Africa, we were promoting cooperatives, and we used to have what we call the communion field, where the different cooperative members will come and work in the agricultural cooperatives, which was then a worker cooperative, and get something out of it. What I know and what we have to work on here in Africa, and Kenya included, is on the terminologies and focus on the sectors. Because as we talk about workers cooperatives, we talk about hybrid or producer cooperatives. Even when I was listening to the different comments, one could even say that what we are talking about here is more for the IT cooperatives. So those are some of the things which we should be able to internalize. I don't want to take much time. I wanted also to add one on these challenges, to say that Kenya cooperative transformation is what either we are witnessing or what we shall be yearning for. Because as much as Kenya is leading, we like at least to see that this leadership goes and survive the test of time. Quite a number of other cooperatives in Africa, like I've said, are working very hard. I have mentioned the Ethiopia one, but also Rwanda and the like. So basically, for Kenya to maintain its momentum, it needs Kenya cooperative transformation. I know there are quite different initiatives already. Been invited to the beta discussions, to the cooperative bill, as I've said. This particular conversation we are having here, we have also had one on arbitration, and so many other things. When you bring all those things together, those are what we might be talking about transformation, but let's be intentional and make sure that we reflect on these things, all of us together, and be able to come up with a roadmap which is clear to all of us. I would like to conclude, because I've taken much time, to say that the Kenya cooperative movement, despite the challenges, remains one of the vibrant movements in Africa, if not the greatest. And we have seen quite a number of countries coming to benchmark. We are happy and honored to be hosted here as ICA Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sifa. A round of applause for her. I think she has given us quite a perspective, not only about Kenya, but entirely about Africa, which has been quite informative. And I know a few issues will come from the floor. But before then, I will invite Professor Esther Gishero. I know she has quite a great reach in history in terms of co-op education, and giving a close sweep, perhaps at the cooperative university back from 1950s up to now, she'll be able to give us a perspective. Karibu, Prof.
Thank you very much. I'm a moderator. Yeah, I think Dr. Sifa, you have summarized well the history of the cooperative movement in Kenya, and therefore I can bring the perspective of the cooperative university, because as the cooperative movement was growing, as we have been told, we realized that it could not have worked without a specialized training institution that could train our cooperative leaders, our members, and even the employees of these cooperatives so that they could understand the model and be able to learn it well. So from 1951, as the cooperatives were growing, we came up with a specialized cooperative training institution, and that institution, that time it was located at a place we called it KIA at that time. It is the Pleasant Kenya School of Government. And that is where the cooperative inspectors, those who inspected the cooperative societies, were trained so that they were not just gabbling with the management of these institutions, and therefore they were able to supervise the employees and the leaders who are working in those cooperatives. So we ran from that 1951, and by 1971, or let me say first of all, from 1967, we moved from that KIA place and came to a center in Nairobi, where we started. That time we were training government inspectors because government was very heavily involved in cooperative development at that time. The Commissioner for Cooperative Development was very powerful, and therefore he needed those inspectors trained. So came 1967, we then developed the center where we started training the people working within the cooperatives themselves. That is the management committees and also the employees of those cooperatives. And after that, we were able to have cooperatives with the proper manpower to propagate the ideals of cooperation. And 1971 is when now we moved to the cooperative college. That was the Cooperative College of Kenya. Yeah, we have moved step by step. We didn't just start by university. So Cooperative College of Kenya moved to where it is currently in Kalen. And then we started now training even diploma programs for the cooperative movement and also the then Ministry of Cooperatives. So most of the people who manned the cooperatives, even at supervisory level, were graduates of the Cooperative College of Kenya. And even up to now, they have just developed themselves. Most of the people you see in the Ministry of, in charge of cooperatives passed through the Cooperative College. And as we developed, we realized that the cooperative movement was diversifying and growing and requiring more of manpower that were thinkers in the area of cooperatives. And that is the time then we thought now, through a resolution of the cooperative movement, that we need to upgrade to a university level. So we started by upgrading to a university college, and we were mothered by one of our local university, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. And for 2 years, they mentored us until by the year 2016, we now became a full-fledged university. So throughout this time, we have been training a lot of manpower for the cooperative movement. And when we became a university, we also entered into the area of research. We have a full-fledged division in charge of cooperative development and research. And through that, we are able to come up with the solutions that will be relevant to our cooperative movement. I liked what our principal secretary said, that our cooperatives, as they come up with the new products, it is good if we can subject them to research so that we are sure that they are adaptable and they'll work well for the cooperatives. Otherwise, when we don't do proper research, you find a lot of duplication You find one circle comes with a product, then another circle wants to copy the same. But through proper research, we'll be able to guide and see the kind of products our members need. Yeah, so as a university, we have also now come to work with our county government. We have a lot of collaborations with the county government so that we are not just dealing with academics. In terms of academic programs, we have developed quite a number. I said we started with the diploma, went through to degree programs. Today, we have a master's program in the area of cooperatives and even a PhD in that area. We have many other programs, not just cooperative related, but we also serve other sectors because even other sectors are still related in one way or the other to cooperatives. So now we feel that we have become ready in terms of serving the cooperative movement in the area of research. And I think that is how we have developed as a cooperative institution.
All right. Thank you, Prof. I think that is quite a rich history from the colonial period, post-colonial period, to the liberalization period, to the millennium, and now I think the university has taken off and it's good to go. Now, I will now invite Dr. Moses Goy for giving 2 minutes to give us a brief about an arm of the university that he heads, and then we'll move straight to the floor to take a few questions. Dr. Moses.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mikwa. Yeah, as I stand before you here, I am also a product of the Cooperative University. I did a diploma in cooperative management, and we are the first group to do the Bachelor of Cooperative Business that was launched in 2005 when the university was having an MOU with JQuat. So at the university, I head the consultancy wing of the university. It is labeled ATC. ATC stands for Agri Cooperative Training and Consultancy Services Limited. So this company is fully owned by the Cooperative University of Kenya. As a matter of fact, the entire board, the VC here is the chair of the board. The DVCs are part of the board of ATC. So ATC was started way back in 2007, and we do major things. What we do as a company is connecting the university with the practitioner. And we do a lot of trainings for the sector. The one major training we carry out is the one that was launched by SASRA. It's a certified circle governance course. I know a number of directors who are here have done that particular course. It is certified by the Cooperative University of Kenya. And also, we also carry out consultancies on behalf of the university. The major kind of consultancies we carry out are like board evaluations, governance audit. These are emerging issues in governance, and also strategic plan review and development. Besides that, we also carry out some research. Recently, we were given some work by global communities to do some remodeling of worker cooperatives, and also we've been able to do other works given by the NGOs that we have around here. We also carry out some consultancy work for the county governments. Recently, we did one training for officers of the counties. You noted that most of the county governments normally employ staff who are not oriented to the cooperative business model. So as a consultancy arm, we have come up with a program that we're able to take the county government officers through so that they're oriented to the cooperative business model. I think one opportunities we have as a company is so that we can offer a standardized curriculum for training cooperatives. Because you have noted in this sector, there are so many consultancies which are here. And I think since ILO is here and I'm a product of this particular program, if we can have a way of standardizing the trainings for our cooperatives, and I note that there is a training that ILO offers of Think Coop, Start Coop, My Coop. And I'm a product of this. And recently, I was in Arusha where they will launch another program called Manage Corp. So this particular trainings, if it is standardized, we'll be able to have an homogeneous way of dealing with the members in the cooperative sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gray. A big applause for our panelists. Just to, before we kick off with the their question, I just have one for each of the panelists just to kick off and set the pace. To Dr. Sifa, you have given a very good highlight as far as the growth of the cooperative evolution of the cooperative movement in the country is concerned. From your standpoint, you are like our habitat and your house in the country. What are some of the major challenges you believe need to be urgently addressed for us now to fast track, because we believe sometimes there may be some things we are not doing right in the country. And so what are some of the key, maybe invisible barriers we need to address urgently now that the PS is here? You can take some of those notes home. To Professor Kisheru, it's very good progress as far as the university is concerned for cooperatives. What efforts are we putting in place to make sure that we take the trains closer to the cooperatives wherever they are in the Republic and maybe beyond? Because our peers has also believed that we are the best university, or we are the only university in the continent. How far are we? What are some of the issues we are taking forward? Dr. Gray, how are we trying to harmonize? Because we believe CUK has the training and consultants. Cooperative Bank also has the same. USCO has the same. How are we trying to marry all those training wings within the cooperative institutions so that at least whatever we do is so much harmonious and there's no much duplication? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. I had already started alluding to the challenges. This is not peculiar to Kenya, but some countries already in the region have tried to do what I'm just about to say. The movement looks or appear to be fragmented, where everybody is doing everything. And at that time, it's very difficult to say with exactitude what is happening in a particular cooperative sector, be it financial or agricultural or the like. And some of the ways where we as Africans and Kenya included could address that is to have clear vision. We hope that after the cooperative bill, although I think here I'm a bit now fuzzy, this is being Mombasa, which comes before the other, we also need a cooperative development sector strategy, which should come, I don't know if it should come after the bill now. And that is how we can channel or canalize all these things we have been talking about. The sector strategy, at least where I've seen it happening, did help us to focus and to know who is doing what. A good example, we had quite a number of players in the cooperative development sector, and there's so many complaints as well. One, I'll pick an example, Meru Cooperative Union being a business. Might be disturbed by 100 requests. Today is IC Africa requesting through, I don't know who that, they have some people to go and visit. Tomorrow is global communities or Genes or whatever else who want to go and visit. After tomorrow is Cusco or the university and the like. That is very disruptive for a business. Or everybody want to go and train them on whatever they have been training for all these years. So all those kind of things could be when we have clear vision, we have the action plan, all of us together. We are doing that already, at least in a particular country in Africa. We had our strategy, and anybody, I saw people with money being turned away. They say either you subscribe to a strategy, look at the activities, abide to those ones, or we are not interested in the conversation. That is how focused that country was. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think in terms of what we are doing as a university to get closer to the people, first of all, let me say that we have an institute of open and distance education, and through this institute, we are able to offer all the programs that we offer to the university through that mode of education. And so we are able to reach out to people. And in this digital era, it has been quite convenient for us to get out and reach out to students through that mode, especially after COVID-19, when we even started offering our other learning initiative through the e-learning or through online learning. So even the people who are already employed and they are working, they're able to do our programs because we can offer them through online learning. And even if it is master's and PhD programs, they only now come to present their proposals and they do the research after they do the other modules through e-learning. So we have been able to do that. Secondly, like I mentioned, we are working very closely with the county government, and through our division of cooperative development, research and innovation, they have come up with quite a number of MOUs. The DVC in charge is here. I may not remember the number, but I know there are more than 10 MOUs working with the county government. And there we go and find out the solutions that they require. And through that MOU, the university is able to address together with them and come up with any initiatives that suit their environment. So that way we feel close to the people. We are not just at the headquarters offering programs.
Yeah, I think to me, I can say that each of these training partners have their own strength. So I think as a university, ATC doesn't only deal with circles, we deal with other types of cooperatives. So what I think we can do so that we can harmonize the training is that, like, the university has MOU with SASRA and also with Cusco. So basically, since now they discovered that we have a strength, we are now collaborating in the spirit of cooperation among cooperatives. So at the end of the day now, once the participants are brought for us, we train them. After training them, the university now certify them. So one thing I want to state is that it's important for us to leverage on our strength instead of each person trying to do what others can be able to do. Thank you.
All right, perhaps before I open the floor, I got two matters for Dr. Sifa to respond to. In your remarks, you noted that you have recently gotten into a cooperative center at the AU. Perhaps is this a window of opportunity for cooperatives in Africa to get out of its way, do more than it is doing, or what exactly is happening? Then number two, in terms of research, right? And more particular in terms of reliable data for decision making. You somehow quoted some data of 2004 and also alluded that KNBS might be doing something. I don't know whether you collaborate with KNBS. Then I'm only concerned about reliable data in terms of numbers in cooperatives. What exactly is happening in terms of data? Because I think there is some gap in that area. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me start with the last one. I said 2002, not 2024. And you are very much correct when you said that the issue of reliable data. And the question is, who should be having it? Yes, we know that the National Bureau of Standards, usually, or rather of statistics, will always have some reliable data. But ideally, our registrar or commissioner should be the one with the most current data on cooperatives, because before the census is done by the Bureau of Statistics, at least at the click of the button, our commissioner or directors or registrar of cooperatives. That is why since 2014, ICA Africa has been having annual registrar conferences, because you came to understand they were very critical in this business, if not really the iris of the cooperative movements. Their job, which is very simple but very complicated at the same time, of registering, inspecting, and deregistering cooperatives, as simple as that, is very peculiar and very complex at the same time. We also engaged in a study sponsored by the European Union on the uptake of digitization in Africa, or COP digitization. And the results were as expected anyway. It's very low. And we need to digitize our activities right from the grassroots level and link them up to the registrar so that we can get that information. It's still not happening. At least we had another funding this second phase of the European Union, and trying maybe to see, with the help of the African Cooperative Union, we shall be able to pilot some countries, because as we talk general, sometimes when we leave it there, people don't go and do it. We have to actually get involved and start piloting. It's a very expensive and a very exercise, but very important as well. I said for us to get that information, we have to have the data. It has to be linked. We are happy to know that, is it 85%? In fact, it's now more. We have internet connectivity as that percentage already in Kenya. So we should be able at least to link those cooperatives. So something needs to be done, all of us together, from the ICA, the African Union, the government, the movement in those respective countries, to be able to do that. So reliability of the data is still questionable. In fact, when it comes to data in Africa, I have to bury to put my head down, because no country can claim to have reached that level of clarity and reliability of data in terms of cooperative matters. But at least we get it from here and there. On the issue of, yes, this is a great opportunity and excitement at the same time. The movement and the government, by the way, are the members of this particular center. You can see we are trying at least to bring and have one vision, implementing the Agenda 2063 through cooperatives, using the Africa Cooperative Center at the African Union. We are very much hopeful. I like the energy that we have observed at the African Union and the leadership currently, and hoping that as also the other leadership is coming into place, we shall continue on the same trajectory. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Again, to our panelists. We'll take how many minutes? So if you have a question in each row, I'll be able to be very democratic.
Thank you. Maybe it's not a question, but there was an ask to the ILO. Yes, indeed. We do have the 3 core training tools that are quite harmonized. They are, we use them globally, And we have been in discussions with the State Department and the peers around how we could support the rolling out of Think Corp, My Corp, and Manage Corp, because then this is same training for, well, same in terms of it being standardized, but then it's also differentiated. So if these are people thinking about getting on the cooperative path, then it is Think Corp and progressively up until those corps that are doing well, but still need a bit of capacity building. So this is in the pipeline through a partnership with State Department, and we should be doing that beginning next year. But very important is also building the capacity within the counties. And I think this is something that we discussed at great length last year. We still need a critical number of the directors, all those engaged in COP at the county level to be trained in, to be true cooperators, if I can say that. Thank you.
Let me just take two, then you respond to this thing. Anyone there?
Thank you. This is Marie Kaya, again from FSD Kenya. The question to Dr. I was interested in your comment about diversification, or liberalization, let's say, versus specialization. So we've had quite a movement, certainly with our SACCOs here, to liberalize membership and so forth. But I appreciate your point about the need also to sort of focus and specialize and streamline the activities. And so I'm wondering whether, if we explore that in the context of agriculture, are you really sort of suggesting that co-ops need to remain, very value chain specific, so like coffee cooperatives and so forth, pyrethrum, so that they can be more efficient and effective in streamlining those value chains? Which I appreciate that point actually. I know some of our suckers, for example, have sort of moved away from that model. We're still, I think maybe the jury is a little bit out as to how beneficial that's going to be in the future. But I'm also thinking about women, for example, who operate often across multiple value chains. So is there also a case for having specialized co-ops based on maybe geographies or population groups, like maybe women farmers in a particular area, for example, perhaps even an extension of a chama, where they can perhaps be using that co-op to market and produce a range of different commodities and link with maybe consumer cooperatives in local urban areas or something like that. So it's really just asking a question about maybe what you actually mean by that specialism and where it can take us in the future, especially when we consider gender.
Thank you. Any other comment, question on this one? Okay, colleagues.
Thank you. This is for Dr. Silva too. I want to ask, I don't know, perhaps you maybe have to educate me more, but I want to put it to ICA Africa region that, especially even now that is even Nigeria that is even the president, I have not seen the impact of ICA Africa in Nigeria regarding perhaps even educational wise, training or capacity, or even a program from a development partner or what have you, like the way you see in most of these East African countries. Most times I follow, I see, program from development partners, for cooperatives around this, Eastern Bloc. But for West Africa, especially Nigeria, where I come from, I would say today I've not really seen any major program. None that I'm aware of. And I want to know why. Perhaps there's something behind that I don't know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mine is also equal to Silva. Maybe what is the experience of secondary cooperatives, especially in Africa? Because in Kenya, I know we are struggling. We had very strong some years back, but currently it is a struggle. What is the experience within Africa? Take it away, please.
Yes.
Before we take another round.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe I will start with the last, then I will couple it with the first, because we are talking about agricultural cooperative. Oh, sorry, there could be a link. The secondary cooperatives, at first, if I give an example of a particular country where I worked on this one, what we had noticed, there was cannibalization. The secondary cooperative, instead of focusing on marketing, being the commercial arm of the primaries, and primaries being the aggregation centers and the like, what they actually did was to duplicate what the primaries were doing and almost killing the primaries. So there was no clear roles. Then we had to sit and duplicate the different levels, what each level has to do to add value, not having long structures. At the end of the day, it is the cooperator, especially the farmer in agricultural cooperative, who has to bear the brands or the weights, because then it means they will support the primary, they will support the secondary, they will support the federation and the apex. In fact, in that particular country, which I'm not naming, we had even to shorten the structure because of that argument. Said no, the farmers cannot carry all those structures. And as we speak now, they're still at the 3 levels, not 4, for that reason. So now coming back, through the assistance of the USA aid, at that time when I was working, we tried to structure, streamline, and have clear demarcation of roles. And what actually we did is it was now to have the union playing their roles, or the secondary. Here I'm talking about secondary and union in one sentence or as the same. So first, this is how we did the structure. In fact, that was already in place. For each 3 villages, we could only have 1 agricultural cooperative because of the economies of scale. If one village has got 100 cooperatives, it defeats the purpose. Second, the reason behind that was that the government had actually sponsored 3 staff members. 1 crop specialist, another one animal specialist, and another was marketing stroke cooperative, stationed at the village level to try and group and teach so that we can have the quality and quantity to sell. So it was 1 cooperative per 3 villages. And now those primary cooperatives, their role is just to get it right in terms of quality and quantities. How to sell, it was none of their business. Then they will take that to the district level. Now that was the union, which had all those primaries at that district level. And the union now was in the business of now commercializing and value addition and commercialization. Again, when we talk about the new the inputs, it was the union which was the government will bring the inputs up to the union day level, and the union now will distribute to the primaries to their members. So we had clear roles, and it helped in streamlining. I'm happy when I was in that country in March. I could not believe what I was seeing. They have gone very far. I was marveled. And they told me, you know, that strategy of yours, we had completed the 10 years. We now came up with our new one. And now that's the one we have followed because we had already checked all the boxes. And indeed, you could see it. Now they are telling me about competing with, they are called what? These big coffee companies in the US. Sorry? Yeah, that is the level now they are talking. And I was like, hey, these Africans can dream. But knowing them, they will do it. So at least when you have the clear roles and complement each other, you don't eat in each other's markets, then you can grow together. That is in secondary, but we can share that in more details with you and we can talk on that one. Now talking about the liberalization and specialization, that is where it comes in. I think we have to understand it is more on, when I made that comment, it was more on the sector. If I pick on the issue of agriculture, like you rightly said, the woman does everything. When we talk, in fact, they are very smart rural women. When we talk about diversification, risk management, they know it already. Nobody is just planting one crop in their farm. They have a cow, they have coffee, they have a bit of sukuma or maize a bit. So they do a bit of everything, depending on the area where they are. If we have just a mono agricultural cooperative, then you'll miss quite a number. So having a how do you call it? A multi-purpose, thank you. The multi-purpose primary cooperative at village or district level, it could help because I'm the same farmer who will bring milk, I'm the same one who will also bring maize, and maybe a bit of other fruits. I'm still the same person, depending on the area and what they can specialize in. What I meant actually, I will pick on, I was more on the sector development. I'm sorry now here to use real examples. We talk about housing cooperatives, you talk about financial cooperatives, you talk about insurance and so many others. I'm not very much fond when I see all of us in the cooperative movement, we try to do the same thing. There are quite a lot which can be done. We are exploring these IT cooperatives, which are new things like these platform cooperatives. Those are IT cooperatives. There is what we can call the school club cooperatives. Those are the school cooperatives. Very important in instilling the cooperative values and principles and education for primary and the secondary. In fact, we already have a platoon which is coming to Kenya, establishing their regional office here for Africa, and I will have time to bring them to the relevant government officials, but they are already here in Kenya trying to see how we can register them. So that will help in terms of cooperative education at primary level and secondary level. In terms of the IC Africa being fed in Nigeria because the president comes from Nigeria. In fact, if the contrary was happening, yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, so it happened because the president comes from there, then we'll be on the wrong. But since Nigeria is in Africa, then definitely Nigeria should feel the impacts. It boils down to how do we work. We don't even favor Kenya, by the way. You can ask them. They have achieved what they have achieved through their hard work. We pass to them the same information we pass to everybody else when they have that information. So they run fast with it. When it comes to connections, we connect the same. In fact, we try what we call the geo balancing in the office. When we have to send people to India or Japan, we have to check somebody has to come from west, another one from east, another one from south. That's how we do it. So it depends now when you come from China, like those ones who have just come from Japan, on what they will do if their information is up to them. If they implement, they get something out of it. If they don't implement, that becomes bad. So it boils down to the model. We don't micromanage in the country. So it will be very hard to see us coming and implementing a project directly. With some government, yes, but it has to be done through our members. Like in this case, it depending on the sector. We are talking about the Cooperative Bank of Africa. Definitely in this case, the Cooperative Bank of Kenya, being our member, should be the leader and helping us because they're in the industry. When it comes to the insurance, the same with CIC. But if it is a general thing, we'll do it with CAK. Like education, we have done it quite well with the cooperative university. So that is how the model, business model, is not to have the boot on the ground, but rather to work through our members. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think we are going to get one comment, then we close it up because of time. I know there were a lot of mentions, Mr. Marango, on corp banking. Mr. Marango, there was a lot of mention on corp banking model in Kenya. Perhaps you can take a minute and give a comment about that. Then we are going to close it up in the interest of time, so that because I'm guided, we'll have a few other matters to do.
Thank you. You ambushed me, moderator, but I'll speak about the cooperative banking model. It has been tested and worked very well in Kenya. Cooperative Bank was given a banking license in 1968. When the farmers organized in their cooperatives had a dream to start a bank, they required a minimum capital of 500,000 Kenyan shillings, which is about $4,000 to acquire the banking license. And they walked around the country for almost 2.5 years, and they could only raise half of that, almost $2,000. So in 1968, they were given a government grant, and that's why they were able to acquire the banking license. And the bank started initially as an agriculture-based bank, just banking the cooperatives in the 70s and 80s. But in the 90s, the bank opened itself to do commercial banking. That means that it opened its doors to bank other category of customers. And the bank today has a universal banking model, whereby we are big in retail and business banking with about 200 branches, with about 16,000 active agents that serve customers. We are linked to the circles and the cooperative movement, integrating our systems with the forces. We become a big bank in terms of corporate and institutional banking. We are the second bank of government, both at national and county government. And that strategic partnership also with government support the bank very well. That is why the Commissioner for Cooperatives sits in the board of Cooperative Bank. The PS Treasury is also represented in the board of Cooperative Bank, but government has no shareholding in Cooperative Bank. In 2007, because of the need to expand and raise additional capital, the cooperative movement met and decided that they reduce their strategic ownership of the bank from 100% to 65%, and that 5% of the bank now is listed in the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So, but if you go to the Nairobi Securities Exchange, much of those shares are still owned by individuals, including the chairman of Cooperative University Council. So those are the shareholders with shares that are trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So, and many others, it's not only him. Most of us here are still shareholders of the bank. So, because of that then, the bank makes significant profits from trading with Kenyans, but a majority of the dividends that the bank pays, a majority of those dividends comes back to the cooperative movement. Last year, we distributed almost 5.7 billion Kenya shillings to the cooperative movement in Kenya out of the profits that were made. And take note that the bank has been paying dividends consistently from 2003 up to this year. There is no time the bank has not paid dividends, including during COVID time. During COVID, most listed public companies and especially commercial banks that are listed were given instructions by central bank that they should not pay dividends, that they should make more retentions because there was a lot of uncertainty. But I remember my group managing director and CEO walking to central bank and saying Cooperative Bank was founded for periods like now, that paying dividends to the cooperative movement will be very critical in an epidemic year, that it will be very useful. And during those 2 years, the bank was able to pay almost 11 billion that was distributed to the cooperative movement in a very difficult period. So I want to say that the cooperative banking model works. I think what has safeguarded our model is the decision of the board of directors and the delegates of the COP holding cooperative society, which holds the strategic ownership of 65%. The decision to say that to safeguard that model, all the shareholding of all cooperatives in Kenya is housed under one entity called COP Holding Cooperative Society. That is the entity that owns 65% and contributes significantly to the governance of the bank. A majority of the board members come from that entity, and to say that those shares will never be available to be traded out there in the public. But cooperatives can trade those shares amongst themselves, but you cannot come from outside as an individual, as a corporate entity, and access those shares. So that safeguards that model, and it will, as long as the board has made that decision, that will be in perpetuity. Cooperatives still have a strong grip in the management of cooperative bank, and I think that protects it. But if you look in the sense, in terms of business, the growth that the bank has made in retail and business banking, the corporate and institutional banking, the bank makes significant profits out of those other segments. The cooperative bank business accounts now for less than 15% of the bank business. So it was very strategic that the board decided that to open the bank so that we go out there, make money, but bring that money back to the cooperative movement. So a proper governance model that works for us has ensured that the bank survives periods of uncertainty. The fact that the cooperative movement has a say in the management of that bank, the fact that the bank has built a solid capital reserves. Today, the bank shareholders' funds amount to almost 126 billion, meaning that the bank is so resilient that it can go through moments of uncertainty in our industry as a very stable bank, a bank that operates with a liquidity position of almost 60%, whereas statutory requirement is 20%. So that, coupled with good leadership of our group managing director, the commitment of the team, and the decision to even be bold in terms of managing change management, has ensured that the bank is a strong bank. Thank you. It's the largest bank in the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, team. Mine is on policy reforms. I think throughout here we have acknowledged that policy reforms must respond to the business changes. And as a person who has worked in the financial sector, every year there are policy reforms that happen in the financial sector to respond to the business environment changes. But we seem to be very sluggish. I think the last time two votes was before current act was done. I think we will discuss the reforms on the current policy paradigm. Since I came to the industry project in mind, we are still having policy draft. And I find that holding cooperative businesses back. And I see, and therefore my question is, with that kind of a thing, then we might take another 10 years to actually do the regulations we are not here. So I think what I see is a lot of interest, conflicting interest, and all that. And for me, I see university as a neutral capital. And I think even from the policies and presentation of having a lot of policy and advocacy coming from research and academic institutions. So what is the plan for the university to help us accelerate that? Because as an academic institution, research institutions, you occupy a higher position to bring all these conflicting perspectives together through research. Because that really will help us. Otherwise, we will be discussing policy reforms, but we may not get to see the benefits yet. The business environment is changing. embedded, especially with technology, innovation we have just discussed. So what is the university's strategy to support policy reforms, whether it's in product cooperative sector, circular industry, house reforms, for all these we are saying agriculture cooperatives, we can see the power of cooperatives. So honestly, it's tough to make reforms.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll take a final comment from Dr. Bundi, then we let Professor Gishero comment, and then we call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. I will go beyond where Mr. Marango talked about. The cooperative banking model is not leaving anybody behind. I will give you a history of 1999. Cooperative Bank was the first one to look at the Juakari circles in this country. And the Cooperative Bank was the first bank to open a branch in the ghetto in the view of microfinancing. They opened the first branch in Kariobangi, I remember 1999, because the cooperative banking sector was doing very well. Mr. Marube will remember the Machad banking was doing very well, but the banking of the small scale, Juakari, was not there. So they brought the bank, Mr. Marango will bear witness from the historical point of view, the bank went beyond of not leaving anybody behind. And that's why they took the Juakari circles to have a microfinance. So they're the first ones to open the microfinance. Even Nigeria, you can, oh, my friend has gone a year ago. You can also start the microfinancing on the rural areas. And I will bear me witness that when we, Cooperative Bank, opened a microfinance bank unit in Kariobangi in the ghetto, and Kayogware in the ghetto, the ones who are bankers in this place will know those branches and agencies have never asked for overnight lending from Central Bank. They used to collect money and remit to the headquarters for them to take it back to Central Bank. So there is money in the Juakari. So that's the area with me. I think there's more cooperative, the platform cooperatives you can buy from. Now to my dear ICA Director General, if you remember about the community lab 3, a PS, I think I had reported decided to him, we had a cross-cutting problems of platform cooperatives about registration and also registering the cooperatives. They had all issues from Tanzania, Ghana, Malawi, all those ones are similar. So I wanted to know whether ICA, when you get reports from us, because you are the international in Africa, do you like to the cooperative ministers of Africa, tell them this is where the problem is? Can you start dealing with it from that point of view? Thank you very much.
I think we can let Professor Gishero respond to the question of university, then Dr. Sifa will respond to the matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I know time is running. Yeah, but let me say, I think the comment by CEO Sasla is quite a valid statement because, yeah, it is true when we start reforms, by the time we initiate the reforms and the time we complete and we have a document we are following, it takes a long time. And that is because there are so many stakeholders who come in, so many parties involved, and some are looking at their own interests, and therefore, even as much as the ministry in charge of cooperatives want to move the reforms, there are a lot of handicaps. And I think the suggestion that he has made, and should actually be the case, is the role of the university in this, because for the university, it is a neutral body, because we can talk from a research point of view. If it is policies, we do research in policies and we inform the proposals that are coming up. And so I think it's a challenge that the VC is here, that the university should take, so that we can play a more clear role, and we are felt by the cooperative movement in terms of informing cooperative legislations and even policies. I know we are normally made part of the committee, but as a university, the challenge we are given is that we need to play a bigger role, because a university, nobody will challenge the university if you come up with something well researched, even the politicians. So we need to now come out and stand out so that Professor Nyamongo's division should now mobilize the faculty members so that we can be felt by the cooperative movement in informing our cooperative policies, so that we don't take so much time moving to and fro because everybody wants to take their position. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Mine is to say that since 1984, Africa has what you call the African Cooperative Ministerial Conference instituted, which meets every 3 years with a midterm review in between. Next year again, we'll be having the ministerial conference. In fact, it will be better because we'll also have the celebration of the International Year of Cooperatives and then the General Assembly, which will be elective at the same time. So it will be bigger and better. And exactly that is the essence of that ministerial conference. What we gather throughout, and then we meet through the registrars who are the technical committee of that ministerial to draw the agenda for the ministers. All these issues and pertinent to them, then they find themselves there. And once it has been tabled to the ministers and they have come up with the resolution, each country has to report based on those resolutions, what they have done vis-a-vis those resolutions. So basically, we have captured that also, that at least we are able, and we are happy as ICA Africa. We have been working very closely with ministers and governments in Africa for that reason, because they are the custodian of the legal instrument which we need. And our job is to do advocacy, and that is why. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, my panelists, Dr. Sifa, Professor Gishero, and Mr. Moses Goye, and my colleague, Mr. Matabi. A round of an applause for the panelists, ladies and gentlemen. So, thank you so much. Now, I have one announcement to make, that we are going to have a group photo. I'm guided at the far end. When you get out of the room, just move straight as you're moving out and then move left. We take one group photo. After that, we're going to have our lunch, and as you walk out, you'll get your meal card. Then we'll be back at exactly 2:15. We should be in our breakaway rooms. I don't know whether, Professor, there is any alternative or any different announcement, or perhaps you may clarify that matter so that we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of you for being with us this afternoon. It's a very exciting topic, which is integration in the African continent. How do we build a single market in Africa? In order to do that, we have an excellent panel that will speak of the different dimensions that this discussion needs to benefit from. Let me briefly introduce you to our speakers. Let me start with Rob Shuter. He's the CEO of MTN Group, Mobile Telecommunications, the digital economy. To his left, Akinwumi Ayodeji Adesina, who needs no introduction in this discussion. He's the president of the African Development Bank. To his left is Bernard Gauthier. He's the group deputy CEO of Bendel. Bendel is a French investment company which has a long tradition of entrepreneurship and very active in the African continent. To his left, Winnie Bianima. Say that again. Yeah. Say that for me. Good attempt. Winnie needs no introduction in this room either. She's the executive director of Oxfam International, caring about people. And to her left, it's Emmanuel Gamor. He's an entrepreneur in residence, tech startup in Kanea, South Africa. He's a founder of Uriti Labs, a research intuitive outfit in Accra. He said he's a young shaper. I think he's a young leader. This discussion is about the one area of good news in international trade that we had in 2018, and it came from Africa. And this good news was an impetus from all African governments to integrate the African market. This discussion matters for many reasons. First, it matters because they showed that they view international trade as a win-win game and not as a lose-win game as we've been made to believe. Two, because leaders signing the African Continental Free Trade Agreement understood that trade can help in improving competitiveness. And we know that competitiveness makes for better wages, better working conditions. It is a good tool to reduce the informal sector, improve working conditions of workers, many of whom, the vast majority, are young. Three, because they put the emphasis on making sure this integrated free trade agreement benefits the 99% of Africans, small and medium enterprises, young entrepreneurs, women in business. And I want to make sure that we also focus part of our discussion on them because, in my view, they are a big part of getting this right. Also because by signing on to this agreement, they send a very clear message that they want to help develop value chains that span different African countries. So develop cross-border value chains, the African continent being the one where value chains are least developed when one looks at the map of the world. Finally, I think it was also good news because it showed from this decision to sign this agreement that leaders in Africa view cooperation and not unilateralism in trade, cooperation in trade as a contribution to the solution. Now, obviously, this is not the only piece that African leaders signed last year. There was also a very interesting coupling of trade with single aviation space, with movement of professionals, with a big drive to reduce red tape when crossing borders with more and more visa-free and even African passports. So in my view, it's a signal of the direction that African governments have taken. Of course, for the skeptics around us, they will tell us that this is just a signature, that much needs to be implemented, and it is true. They will tell us also that there is a big part of this conversation that hasn't yet taken place, the part about the digital economy and how does the African continent regulate the digital economy and technology, and that's right. But I think the signal they've sent is a very important one. What we are going to do this afternoon is dig a little bit deeper into what needs to happen now. Now, let me start with President Adesina. Let me start with you in a way, giving us a broad overview from the African Development Bank perspective. What are the opportunities, the major opportunities that you see in the signature of this continental free trade agreement?
Well, first and foremost is that Africa's trade with the rest of the world is so small, maybe about 4%. And what Africa actually exports is essentially a lot of raw materials. So it makes Africa's exports so susceptible to global volatility. And you see all the booms and the busts that we always have with regard to our economies. But what you find is that those countries that do participate in regional markets are the ones that actually have much more stability in terms of their economies. And so building that size of that market is the critical thing. I think that African economies will be able to industrialize better. I think they'll be able to create a lot of jobs. I think to the point you were raising about the issue of global value chains, if you're going to play the global market, the global value chains are important and becomes a stepping stone for you to also get into the global value chains. And quite honestly, I think it will create tremendous amount of jobs, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises that can actually trade all across the borders. Now, for us from the African Development Bank side,